It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast. Here we are once again on a Saturday morning. Didn't take long for the working week to wind itself down. Yes, we talk property 7 days a week, as heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. 17th day for August, just in case you were wondering what the date is. And you might be off to an open home, perhaps an auction, or you are transacting the final details. I know that plenty of those transactions seem to happen across the weekend. That's the beauty with this electronic stuff. You can sort of complete on a Saturday in a lot of cases. And if you're saving at the moment for your deposit, good luck with that. And don't forget our email address if you'd like to let us know how your property journey is going, is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Now, of course, as the weather warms up a little bit, people are looking forward to the footy finals. We are on the countdown, aren't we, to spring? And people, especially vendors, will be hoping that the traditional spring selling season is going to happen. It's going to heat up, especially the Sydney market, even more. So let's catch up on our Saturday morning with Anthony Landau. He is the Managing Director and Mortgage Broker at Equilibria Finance. Yes, what do you reckon? Is there a bit of a flavour at the moment as we count down towards spring?
Yeah, g'day, Craig. Fantastic to be here, mate, with the sun shining after a bit of a wet week in Sydney. And I think as we head into spring out of the cooler months, there is a little bit of an expectation that we'll see a kick in the market. The sun's out, people have prepared their house for sale and may have held off over winter. So I think everyone's hoping that with spring in the air a little bit, that we'll see a little bit of market activity and pick up through the next couple of months.
And traditionally, the busiest time of the year, spring, and as mortgage brokers, I guess that this is when you start to see the worm starting to turn a little bit, and maybe a little bit more inquiry starting to come through the door. What has happened for you historically in the past around this time of the year?
Yeah, we definitely see an uplift in credit flows from both owner-occupiers and investors, and that's, I guess, reflected as well in what we see in listings. I mean, nationally, the 10-year average, we see listings up about 18.2% and sales up about 8.3%. So vendors really see spring as the selling season. If we bring it back to Sydney a little bit, listings are generally up around 20% on average, with sales up around 10.4%. We definitely see that higher activity, and I saw some recent data with Ray White, and their listings are already up around 19% compared to 12 months ago, with people getting their properties ready for auction. What we're seeing is people are getting their pre-approvals ready, and we're seeing a bit more of an influx of owner-occupiers where the investor activity has been a little bit more, focused through the winter period. We're starting to see people gear up for the spring selling season.
I mentioned a couple of days ago that across the pond in New Zealand, the official cash rate, they dropped that by 25 basis points to 5.25%. The first cut in 4 years in New Zealand, and they're saying, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand is saying that they're confident that inflation was under control and would land and remain in that 1.3% target zone. However, in recent months, economic data has shown inflation slowing, unemployment rising, and all those economic growth factors stalling, which of course is what they wanted to see. We have spoken on this podcast before about the lag effect between NZ and Aussie. Maybe, I said this the other day, this is a good sign of things to come, hopefully here.
Look, I think what we can learn from New Zealand is they went earlier than us in terms of their rate rises, and they went harder. Their cash rate was quite a bit higher than our cash rate to bring inflation under control. Now they're starting to see, I guess, inflation under control, the data coming through to actually now look at stimulating the economy. So I guess what we can look at and learn from that is Did our cash rate go high enough? Will our cash rate, in fact, have to go higher to bring inflation under control? But also we can see that once that inflationary number comes under control, then the central banks are willing to then cut rates. But we can see from the New Zealand experience, their cash rate is coming from a higher base because they did go higher than us, and they also went earlier. So their economy's in front of us, I guess, in terms of bringing that inflation under control.
All right, so we will wait and see how that all plays out. Now back to the Sydney property market. I think you would say that it's been maybe a little bit subdued, and you're probably wanting to see this kick in the spring into some of these suburbs which have been a little bit quieter.
Yeah, the Sydney market's definitely been subdued. We looked at that last week with some of the less affordable suburbs actually seeing a drop in prices, as well as some of the regional suburbs continuing to grow. A lot of that's been driven by a shortage in stock. Stock levels have been really subdued over the last couple of months. The main activity we've seen is through investors, with investor credit flows up some 30% on the last 12 months, with a lot of owner-occupiers sitting on their hands. And that's been a little bit because of the uncertainty about interest rates, cost of living pressures, the challenges of upgrading homes, the challenges of saving for a deposit. Where we're at right now, coming into spring over the last 3 months, we've got listings at about 20,587. We've got sales at about 21,533. So we're starting to see a lift in those listings, and we're starting to see that indicated as well, as I mentioned before, with some real estate data showing that they've had an uplift of 19% in terms of people getting on their books for this spring season compared to 12 months ago. So I think we've had a little bit of a Mexican standoff with sellers holding off, getting ready to sell in this traditional period, and buyers sitting on their hands a little bit, wondering what was going to happen with interest rates. Hopefully there will be a bit of a spring in the air, but I think the data's pointing to listings on the rise, and because of the reality of supply and demand, buyers are getting ready to see if they can get an opportunity through the next couple of months.
So those are some pretty interesting numbers. It looks like it is tracking upward, and that is to be expected for the spring season. All right, we're talking to Anthony Landau on our Saturday morning. We will come back. We'll talk more property after this.
Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs, and hidden gems.
And right now it's time for another 30-second property tip. Let's go to Christian in Byron Bay. And good morning, Christian. What have you got for us this morning?
Good morning. Yes, well, I think for me, your conveyancing and solicitor scenario is absolutely crucial. You must really have a good team behind you that dot their I's and cross their T's, because once you're in and you've signed that paperwork, you don't want to be left holding something that is going to be a problem on a resale. So I really recommend searching or getting recommendations of fantastic solicitors, conveyancers, and paying an extra few $100s for that great service. Really just doing your thorough due diligence.
Each week, we bring you in-depth real estate discussions, including inspiring stories from homeowners, knowledgeable real estate professionals and economists. Whether you're a buyer, seller, or just a real estate enthusiast, we are your ultimate property podcast.
And it is a Real Estate Saturday, a weekend of property. If you're out chasing it, good luck, and let's hope that the chips fall the way that you want them to. And perhaps this weekend is the weekend you snare that property. We are talking with Anthony Landau. And Anthony, let's go back to the owner-occupiers versus the investor behaviour for this spring. How do you expect this to all sort of shake out this spring of 2024?
I think we're going to see a lift in owner-occupiers. We're already seeing that on our books with people getting themselves ready to buy. They're getting their finance in place. They have been subdued. They've been concerned about the economy. They might be thinking about we can't afford in this area? What are some of the areas we can afford in? And there are some suburbs now, I guess, turning into buyers' markets where listings are higher than demand, and that's going to create opportunities. There's some regional areas around Coffs Harbour, Wagga Wagga, Wangi just on the central coast, Bait Haven on the south coast, and even within Sydney, Kellyville Ridge and some areas in Blacktown, we're actually seeing more listings than sales, which is creating opportunities. In fact, some of the localities in Blacktown, we've seen a decrease in prices over the last 3 months, which is a bit counterintuitive to being more affordable areas. That's going to bring some owner-occupiers back into the market with a little bit of softening in some of those areas where listings are outstripping recent demand. So, yeah, I think we're going to see credit flows pick up for owner-occupiers through this time. Investors are back, they're active. Credit flows are up about 30% on the last 12 months. They're looking in different areas often than the owner-occupiers in terms of the opportunities they're looking for. I think the stars are aligning that we're going to see activity pick up. We're going to see owner-occupiers being in a position to purchase and take advantage of some of those opportunities where it is a bit of a buyer's market.
Well, I mentioned, of course, it's a busy weekend for many people. They will be out looking at properties. And the fact that we are now heading into spring, people are constantly chasing down the finance, to get the money to be able to finance themselves, lever themselves into their first property, second or third. So finance is absolutely critical, but it is a busy time, isn't it, around spring for getting your finance all in order?
Yeah, there's not many mortgage brokers or real estate agents having a break over the next few months. It's really busy. We're here for our clients. And I guess our main tips for those thinking about buying over the next 3 to 4 months into the Christmas time is get your house in order. Understand your deposit, understand what you can purchase, and get a good, strong pre-approval in place so that when you're at that auction, when you're talking to a buyer's agent potentially, when you're talking to a real estate agent, you understand your capacity, you understand your limit, and you're actually in a position to make an offer to purchase a property because it's a competitive market out there. Vendors are looking at selling their properties listed, so you want to be ready to go. So check out your pre-approval if you've got one in place. Talk to your broker, understand how long is left on that approval. Extend it if you need to, and make sure you understand, number one, you're pre-approved for, what you can buy for, and also number two, what you're comfortable with. What are your repayments going to be? Can you manage these?
All right, Anthony, always plenty of great advice when it comes to mortgage broking there at Equilibria Finance. You enjoy your weekend, enjoy the surfboard, as you say, a little bit of fine weather you're hoping for, and we will catch you back in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and have a great weekend, everyone.
We don't just report on real estate news, we take you to the source of the information. We produce more property podcasts every week than anyone else. We are your trusted guide for all things real estate.
When you say that, a lot of people will sort of go, what? What are you talking about, self-insuring? You've got a large portfolio. This is something that you've been thinking about, self-insuring right across that portfolio of properties.
And this isn't something that I recommend for everyone. And if you have a single property, this may not be the best way to go. But when I think about all of the properties that I have, and I think about the insurance premiums that I'm now paying, then I'm probably looking at around $60,000 to $80,000 a year in insurance premiums. But I'm thinking about the fact that, at $80,000 a year, after 3 or 4 years, I've probably already got enough money in that fund to rebuild one of the houses anyway.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.